Okay, let's tell the story about Coker Creek.
Yeah.
Alright, we're up the big South Fork right now. I thought we'd tell you about Coker Creek. I'm Jim, 55, been camping 25, 30 years north. Did a lot of backwoods camping. Been all over camping. Had 25, 30 years, had three experiences in the woods. And I'm going to make one real quick. Is the first one I had was, I was up Big South Fork, up underneath Angel Falls, in a place where there ain't no trails to. I don't think people are supposed to be there. I was out there by myself one night, and regular night, build a fire. A friend was supposed to meet me, he never came out. I noticed that something was kind of wiggy on my back, kept bothering me. I have sage I put in my tobacco. I kind of cleared the negative energy. It worked for a while, then the wiggy feeling would come back. So I eventually went and sat on the other side of the fire, back to the river, just because of that. No events till later that night. I woke up, I don't know, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I have a one-person tent. Something was just shaking the holy shit out of my tent. Take a Walmart bag and shake it really violently. That's what it was. It was angry. It was mad. It didn't want me there. When I woke up, it was pitch dark, and I was trying to figure out what the hell was right above me, about a foot above my head, shaking the hell out of that tent. My heart come up. I started breathing, rest, relax. Wanted to make sure I didn't have a heart attack. There was no sound that night, no rain, no wind. Never did figure out what that was. I never heard it walk away, never heard it come up. Went back to sleep, prayed to God that whatever it was, take me by the neck and kill me. Went back to sleep. There's no way to hike out of that area during the night because of the terrain. It's impossible. It's almost impossible to get in during the day. It wanted me out of there. Anyway, that's a short, quick, my first terrifying experience in the woods. And then, I don't know, 5 years later, who knows, 10 years later,
About five.
Matt, 25, he's my son. We were in Coker Creek. We were in Prospecting Creek, down on Hammer's property.
Hammers, cabin.
We've been down there 6 nights. We'd heard hounds chasing things throughout the week. Never paid any attention. Never got close to us. And on the 6th night, we heard those hounds chasing them, and this time they're getting close. I'll tell you the short part. Matthew will tell you the details. Anyway, these things, I woke up and I heard a herd of feet. And I'm ex-military when I was in Turkey, and we went to places Americans never been. And we was on one side of a mountain ridge, and the whole town came out because Muslims don't eat pork. And they were happy that we would come out and kill those boars just to keep them from messing up their gardens and stuff. So I know what a herd is. They almost chased us up the trees. They had so many boars chase us that we were about ready to run up trees just to keep from getting overrun by boars. Anyway, this herd was just pounded feet. No breathing, no huffing, no limbs breaking, no sounds of sticks breaking, no sounds of anything except for heavy pounded feet. Best, as Matthew says, best sounds like maybe a bunch of buffalo without breathing. no noise. I was sitting in a tent, and he was in a little teeny tiny camper right beside me, probably 5 foot between us. Anyway, neither one of us said a single thing because we were both terrorized, and I was looking at my front of my tent, and I was waiting for it to fold in on me. As the herd was coming to us, I was just, again, controlling my breathing, controlling my heart rate, making sure my heart didn't go up too high, watching as I thought for sure something was getting ready to run over this tent. Anyway, it went through us. It seemed like it just went past us. And the geographics of that land, there's no possible way a herd of buffalo or something came through there, but anyway, there was a herd. And then we'd heard, I'll get into the details, we'd heard things running up, we'd heard sounds coming down, I heard them dogs chase things up, I heard them dogs chase things down. I think the first time we spoke was when I heard we were 5 foot from the creek that we had been prospecting the entire week. And it was up to at least your ankles, up to your knees and higher in places. And when I heard coming, I was 5 feet from my tent on the right side, or 10 foot from the river, from the creek. I heard coming up the creek, and you could hear it just as clear as day going running smooth. Now, again, I'd heard them dogs run past us, and the sloshing of their bellies. They're just the big noisy animals running through the water. If they were chasing a bear or deer, same thing. You would just hear a whole bunch of sloshing. Anyway, this thing come running. Here it come. I'm listening to it. It was clearing the water with no problem, and it had 2 feet, obviously. It went past us. I heard it coming. I heard it go past us, and right on through. At that point, I had to speak. I was terrorized with the herd. That's when I said, Matthew, did you hear that? And he said, I said, 2 foot, right? And he confirmed, 2 foot. And of course he said, what about the herd? And I was like, hell with the herd. We just got, the herd terrified us. But now I had confirmation there was a 2 foot creature that was able to run in waters up to my knees and probably higher without clearing it. And a smooth trot. There was no breathing. There was no other sound, no snorting. This thing was a powerhouse. And it was a 2-footed creature, Bigfoot, whatever the heck you want to call it. Now, Matthew has all the other details because I was concentrating on the fact that there was a 2-foot creature that ran past us. That was my main focus. There's a whole lot more to it. We still don't know what happened. We have no video. We did go out and explore the other day. We did go out and explore the next day. There was a people that had a cabin. They was a couple 100 feet down the creek from us. They came out in the middle of the night with their guns, and they asked me, what the hell was that last night? And I said, we have no idea. Even they had come out in the middle of the night trying to figure out what the hell was going up and down that damn creek. So, Matthew, what details you got?
All right.
What do you believe what happened? Tell them what you thought. Tell them what you deciphered after all this time, or whatever you want to tell them.
I'll tell them it passed us up 7 times, the 2-foot thing, 6 times in the creek, 1 across the bank. The one across the bank was the very first thing I heard. The thing was doo, 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 doo. I was like, I'll just tell that to Dad in the morning. It was a big old solid 2 feet across the bank. I'll tell that to my dad in the mornings, see if he heard that. So I went back to sleep, and my ears are kind of alert, across the bank. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So probably about a minute, 2 minutes later, that's when I heard about 10 to 12 of those feet coming at us from way up in the distance. First I heard just the herd coming. I was like, what the heck is that sound? My alerts are super alert. I'm hearing, I'm looking out, I'm in a camper. I'm in a enclosed trailer that we built with 2 windows on both sides, so I can see out both sides. On the other side, on the left side, I got the truck, and my dad's right there behind the truck, and the creek is on the other side of the truck, which is about, I don't know, 5 foot, maybe 6 foot, about 10 foot. There's the bank, there's the creek, and then that's about another 10 foot to the other side of the bank, give you an idea. And on the right side, I got a field that I could see all the way across to another creek bank, to another field, to the road. So I got clear vision that night. It wasn't a full moon, because if it was, I'd be bright. Well, it wasn't. It was about, crescent moon, a good sized moon, enough to see all the way across. So here's that thing coming down the holler, and it was coming in strong, hot and heavy. I was starting to think it's probably going to hit the trailer. At least my dad might be protected. I don't know, by the truck being in front of his tent. So I was thinking maybe that might help him, but dang gun, this herd's coming in hot. And it's what I heard across the creek bank, so it's kind of like, I don't hear no snorting. I don't hear no tree, no branches, no leaves, no nothing, just a herd of solid thuds that I heard across the bank, 12 of them, about 12 of them. And I was looking out both sides of the windows. Maybe it could come from the left side where the truck is, So I look out both sides at the same time, at the best I can, whenever it was on top of us. When I thought it was on top of us, no, it wasn't on top of us, because it was super loud. It was getting louder. I was looking at both sides. It was getting louder. I'm like, this is the time it should be on us, but it ain't. It's still getting louder. Then it got to a point where I was like, holy crap. And then finally it passed us. It finally passed us. I didn't see nothing. So I was like, okay. I talked to Dad in the morning about that one. See if he says anything about the thing across the bank. I actually, during that time, I forgot about the one across the bank. Not really completely forgot about it. I knew about it, but I was like, holy crap. Okay, so that thing started going. And it took it about a minute to get to us, because I counted afterward of how long it was leaving us. I counted up to 30 seconds, and I realized that's a minute of it leaving and a minute of it coming. So it took 30 seconds for it was about right halfway gone, and then it went down to where I couldn't hear it no more. So that was about 30 seconds, that long. So it'd be about 2 minutes of it arriving, and leaving. So I thought, okay, just a little fluke, whatever. We'll see what Dad has to say about that in the morning. That's a trip, which that's whenever I believe the people in the cabin came out and heard the herd coming on top of them and then left them. They came out with their guns and stuff, and then they went back in, because it's been a while. It's been a minute when the herd actually finally left. So they're like, okay, all things passed. So I figured they probably went in after collecting up the stories over time. And that's when we heard solid 2 feet on the creek going. And kept on running.
Now, I had heard them run.
I'll tell you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Because this is the part where it passed us 6 times in the creek. 7th on the other side of the bank. So there's 2. Right now I'm at 2. It passes just now. That's when Dad yelled, was that 2 feet? That's the first thing he yelled. Was that 2 feet? I didn't really heard him the first time, because I realized he said something. So I'm going to yell, Did you heard the herd? Did you heard the thing across the creek bank? Did you heard it? Did you heard the herd? Did you heard the creek bank? And he's like, was that 2 feet? That's why I actually caught on that he said 2 feet. So I said, yes, that was 2 feet. Solid 2 feet. So that's whenever I started doing my numbers. Because I realized since he knows that's 2 feet, I'm going to keep up with the numbers. So at this point, it passed us 2 times. And the third time, I didn't count the herd as a third time because that was a ghostly thing. I don't know if that was, I didn't see nothing.
We call it a ghost herd because we never saw it.
Never saw it.
It went through us.
That thing went through us.
If they were Bigfoot, they were actually invisible.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the only thing we can tell you.
Yeah. But it was that sound.
We
It
don't
was
like
like I heard a buffalo. It's the
we don't
only
like-
logical reason I
We don't
can
like
come
to
up
talk
with.
much about the herd that ran over us because it's insane. And
Yeah.
you try to explain that one to somebody that they ran over you and you never heard them. So we
Never
don't talk
saw
about
them.
that much.
Right? So it's kind of like one.
But I'll tell you more details and he could detail you in more. But there was also a moment where I heard one of the dogs, we call him Earl because it was Earl. He was a louder hound. There was 2 other ones that were with him. And that hound went up past us and I heard something kick it and it went Earl. And you hear it lose its air and it got quiet and he was up the creek. And I was like, damn, what the hell just happened then? And then, it wasn't too long later, I heard Earl down, and I realized, this is what I theorized, is that daggum, whatever it was, kicked that dog, grabbed that dog, covered its mouth, and took him down the creek to get the other dogs off the rest of them. I believe they were playing with those dogs. It seemed like they was just having fun. Entertainment. That one dog was chasing them. Now, he got a little close or something. They kicked him. And I did go research next morning, and I did find in that creek, we had been prospecting for gold all week. And in that creek, we knew it was middle of summer. You couldn't get into it because of the bushes and the briars and all that. But I found the point on the bank where they got into a scuffle. I did find that point, but believe it or not, this is our theory, that he kicked that dog. He picked that dog up, he covered that dog's mouth. He took that mouth, because somehow or another Earl went quiet, and then Earl went back to barking, but he was down the creek. He took that dog down the creek to get him off the trail. That's what I know. Now, what do you know about the details of that?
Yeah, so the details about that is, well, that thing ran up the creek. We were talking to each other. Then we got interrupted by another one running up the creek. And I think there was 2, and I think, from what I remember, those 2 got in sync with each other, and then one split off into the bank, and the other one kept on running.
That's one thing we notice is they get in sync. It's amazing. Their feet get in sync, and you don't hear them breathing. They are in sync. They're amazing creatures. But go ahead.
Yeah. So they got in sync. One got into the bank. One kept on running, and then that's when the dogs were chasing them at the same time. So they were chasing them, the main dog, and then there's 2, I think, younger ones. They're not so loud, something. They're not the lead ones, I could tell that. They're not that pronounced, So, they were chasing them up, and then on the way back down, there's another one that passed us, but one of the younger dogs went up to the bank, it sounded like, and the other 2 went back to that dog, and that's when I heard, toot, toot, oh, like, oh, like, oh, and the dogs are chasing them. They're swimming, most of it.
The dogs are swimming.
They're
2
mostly
foot, 3
swimming.
foot water.
Yeah, they're mostly swimming by most part, and they're getting on down the valley, down the creek. We could barely even hear them down the creek. I figured this is probably the last time we hear them. This is probably it, because it was so far down. That's why I could still hear them. The main dog got quiet down there, but I hear the 2 dogs down there, so I'm like, okay, Earl's probably around and probably ran them off. But then that's when we heard the running back up the creek. And that's when he let go of that main